growth and job creation is
Family Time, 5:30 p.m.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to everyone, including those on Facebook and YouTube Live. This is Family Time, and Family Time is about your issues and your relationships, your at-home family, your community family, and of course, your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please join in via all our platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and those are live. And of course, we are on Instagram for updates. I'm Roland Gale. Now, a lot of what our children learn occurs randomly throughout life, with parents and caregivers being the primary teachers. Then, most times we hand our children over to the formal education system for many hours of the day. Sometimes it's the majority of the day we hand them over. It may be a Christian school or a public school or a secular school, but would you consider homeschooling your children? Why would you do that? Why would you not do that? Does it really help? Does it work? Is it worth it doing homeschooling? How does homeschooling work? It seems to be a more attractive option these days. So we're going to talk about homeschooling this evening. And as usual, we have a question for you, our guests who are listening and watching. Tell us, what do you see as a downside to homeschooling? And you can contact us via WhatsApp, text, and voice messages. And make sure the voice messages are no longer than 30 seconds. And you send those to 997-3125. And our studio lines are 968-8327 and 968-8328. And you can participate with us that way. You can also watch us and comment on our Facebook page and on YouTube. So however you're interacting with us, we want to hear from you, all right? We'll be right back with our special guests from the Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers. We have with us Terry Chung, Vice President, and Trudy Lee Panton, Secretary. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back, all right?
Christmas is togetherness. Flow is giving you their best. Christmas is special savings. That's just what Flow is bringing. Christmas is the joy of giving. Flow has just what you've been wishing. Flow, it's a celebration. Free phone and earbuds for you.
Get a free Samsung phone and earbuds when you sign up for Flow Yard and Road for only $4,999 plus GCT.
Flow makes Christmas bright and blue because it's all inspired by
Visit the
you.
Flow store to sign up today. Conditions apply.
Ooh la la. I see what I want at Fosrich Christmas in November sale. November 20 to 30. Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Come get your wires, breakers, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, standing fans, and so much more. Shop Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. You can't afford to miss it. Come shop. Come save at Fosrich Christmas in November sale. November 20 to 30. See you there at Fosrich.
Jamaica's gangs are like packs of rats. They live in filth and try and drag us all in there with them, spreading the disease of violence and corruption everywhere. Nasty. But like a pack of rats, they can be eliminated. Rats. With your help. If you have information on gangs, call Crime Stop on 311. This message is brought to you by Crime Stop and their marketing partners, Lime and NCB.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Welcome back to Family Time on Love 101, and welcome also to Terry Chung and Trudy Lee Panton, our special guests this evening. And wow, I'm joined by flowers. I am the thorn. All right. Welcome, welcome, and how are you both?
I am well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you on.
Well,
And Terry, can you hear me?
yes,
Can you hear
I
me
hear
okay,
you.
Terry?
Thank
Yeah,
you so
you can
much.
hear me all right? Great. Good to have you on. Now, Terry and Trudy Lee will be with us for the rest of this hour. And remember, we want to hear from you, our guests who are listening and who are watching. And we want you to tell us, what do you see as a downside to homeschooling? WhatsApp your text and voice notes, and make sure your voice notes are no longer than 30 seconds to 997-3125. And you can comment live on Love 101 Facebook and on YouTube as well. All right. Our studio lines aren't working right now, but please contact us every other way you can. And the most important question we want to start with is, what is homeschooling?
All right. Okay, I'll take that one. Thanks again, Roland, for having us, and good evening to your listeners. So, and welcome, Auntie Terry. um, so, homeschooling, it really encapsulates a variety of home-based learning experiences that includes parents managing the learning process either by themselves or with the assistance of a tutor or a group of families working together in what we call homeschool pod. But essentially, what categorizes a learning space as a homeschool is that it is generally managed, coordinated by the caregivers, whether it be the parent or guardian of the child or children.
Right, I get you. I get you. Are you spoke about pods and you spoke about tutors. Are there different types of homeschooling structures? Yes,
Most
there are.
definitely.
All right, go ahead.
Yes,
Who wants to tell me? Terry?
Yes, to Auntie
I'll go.
Terry, yeah.
Okay, yes. So there are several types of homeschooling structures. Some, as Trudy had said before, are parent managed, meaning that they oversee all the educational outcomes or inputs of the children and the family, and they can also be the actual tutor that takes charge of the learning engagement. The management can also be done through a tutor that is either brought in-house or they can go to a tutor. And she also mentioned pods, which is a group of like-minded homeschoolers who would want to come together and have their children interact in a home setting so that it feels very natural as it would in their own home, as close as possible to having that home feeling.
All right, that's cool. Are there benefits to either one, and are there drawbacks to either one of those? I think you mentioned three. Are there benefits? Would you, if you were going to do homeschooling, is there one that you would choose over another one?
Well, we both have two different types. So,
All right, okay.
yeah. So,
Which type do you each have?
okay. So I am the tutor, um,
Right,
and so in our family we manage the entire homeschooling process.
right.
Yes, occasionally we do outsource with some co-curricular activities, and we have in the past connected with families for brief periods for varying reasons, and so ours is probably the most basic type of homeschooling.
Right. Okay. Terry, what about yours?
So I started my homeschooling journey with my son, who was so excitable and he was ready to learn. I was at home at the time, and I knew that he needed some sort of engagement because, first of all, I'm a teacher, so I have an educational background already. So that sort of sets me apart in the homeschooling journey. So with that experience in mind, I was engaging him. Then I used to post it on my personal site. His friends would, well, his friend's parents saw them and the engagement and said, well, I want my child to come there too. I want my child to do that, but I'm working. I don't have the time to do that. So I invited them over just for play dates, and then it spawned into what is now called pods. So I've
Right.
always been the tutor for my son, and then other people would come in and want to have that similar, interaction, the loving, kind, gentle sort of engagement that the home usually gives.
I like how you said loving, kind, and gentle. Is that one of the benefits to homeschooling as opposed to going out to regular school?
Oh, most definitely.
Oh,
Most definitely. So when you asked which one is the better, or which one is more ideal, it really depends on your circumstances. As you know, in the case of Terry, she would have mentioned her son being an only child. The desire for external social support would have been, a priority, probably more so than in my family, because we have a bigger family, and I mean, while the home space is the primary space of socialization, of course, as you grow your journey, you expand outward, and so it really depends on your family situations and what your goals are for your family, what your visions are, and that will determine the particular mode of homeschooling that you employ. And it can change, because it changes as the children age and go through the different stages, and so forth. So I mean, the benefits are just overwhelming.
Overwhelming. I hear you. I
yes, there
hear
are
you.
many.
Right. And that of course answers the question, or partially answers the question, why homeschool? Is there a age group that this particularly works with, that it's most useful for a particular age group of student?
You take
Well,
that
we
one.
usually start from birth, and we have students who are in university at the moment who are
Doing homeschooling?
homeschooled or virtually. Yes. So
Okay.
what we tend to think homeschooling looks like is, because we send them to school, we have to use one type of guide. But curriculum is so wide. There's so many different types out there, and it's so exciting that we have this free will and free choice, because it is actually our right. We have a right as citizens of Jamaica, so far, to homeschool. And we have many, many options that we can pull from. So there are people who are attending university virtually, or, they are at home doing courses while doing high school. And because they're able to do sort of a hybrid program, and their abilities are mixed, you have that rich sort of educational, I guess you could call it, that you could draw from different kinds of facets that you can draw from, not just sending them out and having a teacher teach, or a school or the Ministry of Education just look over them and say, this is what you have to do. Because, to be truthful, there are many parents with special needs children who the system just cannot manage the burden, or to feel like they can manage it because they don't have the systems in place. We have some things in place, but there are not enough. So we find many, many children who have either not been assessed, who they would deem as troublesome or see them as too talkative, or and they would just need, maybe they need a different type of approach. For me, I knew my son needed a play centered approach. There was no way he was going to sit down and write and sit in a chair for any number of hours per day, even at his age now. He started at one, doing the formal play and engagement, and he's 11 now. I've attempted school 3 times, and to be honest, this system might not just be suited for every single child, and we have to accept that there are options out there.
Wow, you have raised a particular point that I think may send me down a rabbit hole or down a banana trail, right? And it is the point of the curriculum. How, as homeschoolers, do you decide on a curriculum, and how does that actually prepare a child to be competitive with the curriculum or curricula that exist in the normal going out there school? How does that work?
Okay. While Auntie Terry is a professional, so she can speak from that perspective. But as a mom myself, um who is not formally trained in education, I I have the pleasure of, throughout my homeschool journey, to be able to mix and match and play around with different curriculum, and it has been really exciting, because you as we say in in our organization, our world is our school, and our homes are our classroom. So we have the potential as homeschoolers to explore the idea of curriculum from a much broader perspective. And you realize then that learning is more than just a set of guidelines or strategies. Learning is about growing in life, and therefore your curriculum then become the curriculum of choice becomes based on, again, what your vision is for your family. Where do you see your children 10, 20 years from now? If you have that panoramic outlook in terms of your family legacy, then what you expose your children to, which is essentially what curriculum really is all about, what you choose to expose your children to, is very much, it's going to be patterned off that legacy. So you have a host of options to choose from. I mean, our curriculum is the meaning the national standards curriculum. It is a globally accepted one, generally, in terms of the content. And so there in terms of what's available globally, it doesn't differ very much in content. It's about how you disseminate the information, and what you focus on, depending on the child's abilities, competencies, their interests, and again, that vision.
All right. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, because to me that is a critical part of the homeschooling, the curriculum. And so the next question I have is, how do you determine what your own curriculum is, and then get certification or access examination type, what you call it now, paperwork that says the child is competent at this level. If you are not doing the same curriculum as everybody else, how do you perform those tests? How do those examinations and qualifications come about?
Auntie Terry, you want to go?
Yes, I will go, but I heard just parts of what you're saying, Ronald. So please bear with
Okay,
me
you want me to
when you say
repeat?
the
All right, let me try to say it quicker. Um, how do you access testing and qualifications if your curriculum is different from everybody else's?
Okay, so with the national standards curriculum, it's, as Trudy was saying, it's something that we use right across the board. So that is usually the baseline that we use, because for parents who want the children to do exams at different levels, starting from maybe the grade one readiness and three and so on, and then to PEP now, we have different registration that takes place. We can register at, we prepare them for the exams, because if you're using the curriculum, it's a guide, and you can register, which actually every child is it's recommended that they register with the Ministry of Education, so that they can also hand out materials through the, was Arnold Road, I'm sorry, Canewood.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
they
could be
can
Kenwood. Yeah,
put
Kenwood.
books
Yeah.
through Canewood, and you register. You can either register with a school to do the exams, or privately at an exam center. All right, a recognized exam center. If they have their exam number, they go sit their exams, and they're back home doing their regular, life learning, or whatever different curriculum they choose, or activities they choose. So
All
the
right. So
exams
is it,
are not. Mhm.
sorry, is it then that homeschooling provides the child with an opportunity to complete the regular curriculum as well as additional content or additional um, subjects that the regular curriculum doesn't cover?
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Yes, and
So,
in fact, so the
You heard?
national standards curriculum is available online free. So
yeah,
they're there, and among other curriculum, that you can access free or with a subscription or so on. And I mean reputable curriculum options. So the information, the resources are available. Terry mentioned the registration process at the Independent Schools Unit at the Ministry of Education. They also partner with homeschool families to provide resources. So they will provide support material to help you if you intend to follow through with the national exams. And we say that because there are alternatives as well to that.
there are alternatives. All
Yes,
right. Okay, we may get into that. And so we're talking all of this about homeschooling and whatnot. Is homeschooling legal in Jamaica?
very legal. As Auntie Terry said, it is
Yes.
the right according
Yes.
to the Education Act. That is Article 21. Parents are responsible for the education of their children through either the formal education process or otherwise. And they're expanding that definition of otherwise, but we technically are included. In other words, it is the parents' responsibility first and foremost to manage that process. And what the government really does, as they are our employees, is that they help to regulate the process to ensure that parents are actually managing it, whether it be through public school or through a private institution or in the home.
Wow. You wanted to say something, Terry?
I don't think she's hearing fully.
Oh, she's not hearing us clearly. All right. I wondered if Terry wanted to say something.
The sound is.
All right, she's not hearing. The other question I have here now is the question of expertise. In homeschooling, how does someone teach something that they don't know?
Yes, that's a good question.
Well,
Hearing
there are
Auntie
lots of
Terry?
guides out there. The thing is, once you're able to understand, to curriculum wants an objective to be met for a child. Once you're able to do that and you're honest about that, you can go ahead as a parent and guide your children. I mean, YouTube is there. I'm not going to just downplay that you need to have that expertise. But there's just some things that are topic based, content based, that you can, find creative ways to transmit that information and make it really engaging and fun, and come up with your own ways of passing on that information, and then they can assimilate and put it back into their own life learning skills. So really, some you don't need expertise for everything, but if you are truthful with yourself that you cannot manage certain topics, this is where the membership and the collaboration comes in. It's very important, where parents lean on each other. When they are strong, they will ask for help. from certain parents or the organization in general to search for help for their children. And for example, if you're not really too keen on chemistry, you have a group of parents who are getting the children ready for chemistry exams, and they would just go and meet up together, and they would plan out what they want to teach, how they want to teach it, and get the children ready for exams. Because the truth is, exams is not everything in life. It's not all about exams and curriculum. We want them to
I
understand their
agree.
purpose in life, you know, and there's so much more to life than school. So what we want people to understand is that life is school and school is life. Home is school, because the first teachers are your parents. If you think about it, your first teachers are your first school is your family setting. The little ones learn from big ones learn from parents and grandparents, and all of this rich culture is being transmitted before they even step out the doors to go into a classroom setting. So lots of things can be taught at home: how to cook, how to, and lots of chemistry and is by and science is coming from that, maths coming from cooking, lots of things like that. So if you want to do, they have life schoolers, world schoolers who travel all around the world with their parents and still learn. They're plugged into either their online platforms, or their parents are teaching them with regular pencil, paper, or whatever, worksheets, just for them to keep abreast of what they need to know at that level. But there's so much more to life than just schooling.
Four walls. Yes.
All right, there are two questions that come up in this. And the first question is, do we have any format or any version of homeschooling that allows you to access the formal education system? And the reason why I'm asking that is, when you have particular subjects, let's say something like chemistry, where you may have labs that need to be done, or biology, when you have certain kinds of things to do, can homeschoolers access the formal education system, do those things, and then simply go back to their homeschooling?
Yes, that is possible. And the 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 independent schools unit actually allows for that. The challenge would be, so from a government perspective, then it is quite legal, quite acceptable. The challenge would be to identify the school and to build
The
that
space, for
relationship
example,
with the
right,
school. So that is where the networking has to take place, because you find what is happening this is happening all over the world. So
right,
since Jamaica is kind of at the back right now in this regard, we're backward in relation to the development of homeschool, because the system of homeschooling in the US, for instance, is so suited that the state provides, in some states they provide the material, the curriculum, all the support material, so that even if a parent has no basic understanding of certain technical areas in any particular content, or subject area, the what the state provides is so useful that in some cases children teach themselves. And in fact, that is something that is another benefit of homeschooling, even in Jamaica here, where we are building independent learners. We are empowering our children to be able to seek out knowledge, and not just to be fed information. And so, um, we're hoping, actually, we'll be having our conference this Thursday, and we're inviting all the stakeholders out. We'll be having representatives from the state as well, to coming in to talk to us and meeting homeschoolers and so on. But we are hoping that in initiatives like these will help to bridge the gap between homeschooling and the public system, to create more of these partnerships, to find more standardized ways, methods of determining competency for homeschool children. Even at the university level, there are universities in the US, in the UK, other parts of the world, that accept homeschool children, without the technical exams from the high school levels. They have their own, they have qualifications, requirements specifically for homeschool children. You know, so
Wow. Right.
we are really behind in that area.
In that area.
Yeah, we are.
I get you. We have to go to the break shortly, but I want to ask you the second question. Is discipline more necessary in homeschooling than in the formal system? When I said discipline for the child in terms of them going and doing the work, how is discipline a factor?
In fact, discipline is it's easier in the home, because again, is because our focus is on life skills. We have a very comprehensive approach. Generally, homeschoolers, we have a very comprehensive approach, and so ensuring that the space is clean, that your bed is spread, and that you're participating in maintaining the home is just as important as your maths and your English levels. You know, your competence is there. So you find that because children are learning these skills, discipline, working hard, critical thinking, all these different life skills, they're learning it in several different ways. You find that it's actually a lot easier to work with them when you're doing formal lessons, for example.
I hear you. That sounds really cool. We're going to go for a break, and this has been really interesting. Just so you know, right, the numbers for the FLM head office in Kingston are 920-1034 and 926-8101. When we get back, we're going to be here. We're going to continue our discussion on homeschooling. And so stay with us. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're going to be right back.
Help keep your engine clean and performing at its best with Texaco with Techron. Texaco with Techron cleans your engine as you drive, helping to give you the power and performance you need. Fill up at Texaco, star of the Jamaican road.
I could be you.
Or me.
A member of the family, brother, sister, mother.
A member of the community, pastor, policeman, neighbor.
I could be you, but for me, every door says no entry.
Nobody is their HIV status. Chuma, join us.
After all, I could be you. Join us.
Join us. Let's work together to stop HIV discrimination. Be a champion for change. A message from the National Family Planning Board.
Have you follow Grace Sardine? Follow the better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody sell it. Do all of them nice. Pass the back, make push it.
Grace Sardines, follow the better flavor.
Get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jakal Dyer, this Tuesday, November 14. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with the Morning Coffee Pick Me Up devotional at 6 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we bring you the Morning Watch with intriguing and thought-provoking discussions. At 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss blood types. Now, our question of the day is, how are you preparing for the festive Christmas season? You can send your responses on WhatsApp at 876-997-3125. Stick and stay with us this Island Vibes Tuesday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back, everyone. We have with us Terry Chung and Trudy Lee Panton, Vice President and Secretary, respectfully, of the Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers. They are our special guests, and we're so happy they're with us. We're talking about homeschooling. And remember, we want you to tell us, what do you see as a downside to homeschooling? And you can send your text messages and voice notes to our WhatsApp line. That's 997-3125. Or you can comment on Facebook and on YouTube. Our studio lines aren't working today, but use all the other ways to get in touch with us, all right? We want to hear from you. Now, we have spoken a lot about homeschooling so far. We talked about the different ways that we can structure it. We spoke about things like how disciplined it is, the different curriculum that we can have. We spoke about a lot of different things. And I want to ask, was COVID-19, that epidemic, was it a factor in our growth of homeschooling here in Jamaica?
Oh, definitely it was. Uh, it was interesting to discover just how unaware um, that people are of the possibilities outside of the formal system. Because we've been so cultured into this approach to learning that it was very difficult to cope in any other type of environment. And so you found that that is where we, our organization, got a lot of attention, because I mean, we've been doing this, and it's been working for many families. I mean, we've had success over and over again in relation to our homeschooling children, and so we've been able to provide a lot of support to persons who, even just during the COVID period, wanted to flesh out this whole school at home type of situation, because let's not confuse, school at home is not homeschooling, and and so it's two different things, right? So we were able to provide some support for families in that regard, and coming out of COVID, persons, the awareness definitely grew. Persons were more became more alert to the challenges that their children were having with their schooling. And so you find that, because again, you mentioned earlier in your introduction, just how the whole formal school system separates the family. You spend so much time away from each other, and you only get to see each other when early morning, when everybody rushing out, and late night when everybody tired and frustrated. So it really puts a strain on the family, and so you said that so accurately. But the the COVID situation, the lockdown, forced families to stare at each other, to spend more time with each other, and get to know the children a little bit more. And so we found that several families actually, well, most of the mummies, of course, express severe frustration with how their children were progressing at school. And some parents realized that during COVID they saw some potential in their children where learning was concerned, that they didn't notice before during the school period. And the children, in some cases, became aware that there was something about school that was preventing the development, their own expression of themselves, and their own growth in a holistic way. So
But
definitely.
truly, that's one of the reasons why I asked the question, because um, when it comes to discipline, what I witnessed in my own little circle is that there was a lack of discipline in having school at home. But you made a very good point. You said that school at home is not the same as homeschooling. And so, what we see coming out of the COVID experience with having school at home, where we talk about learning loss, for example, would that have impacted homeschoolers and homeschooling?
In no way at all. In fact, we were living it up during COVID, actually, uh,
Right.
because we were familiar. This is a space we're familiar with, and we, as homeschoolers, you learn to pivot again, critical thinking, coping with different circumstances, because again, we don't play the role of the social and psychological development of the child from the tender years. And so our system is so structured, where children are separated from their parents way too early, before they're ready for it. And so psychologically, there's a crisis there, where the children are struggling psychologically to find themselves, to grow in the space. And so our children being at home, being in that safe space, as Terry mentioned earlier, you we these children are already learning how to cope, because they have the foundation of being in that safe space in their early years, their formidable years, as you know, we say. So because of that, we were ready for it even before we knew we were ready for it. We were ready.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Terry, can you hear us?
I can hear you a little better now. Thank you.
All right. Gonna ask you to speak up a little because you're kind of low on my side. And the
I can hear
question I
you a little
wanted,
better.
yeah, the question I want to ask you, Terry, is about cost. Is cost a factor when we're talking about homeschooling versus traditional schooling?
Well, it depends on what kind of schooling you're used to. The truth of the matter is, wow, that one is a little bit of a tricky balancing game because we are used to probably spending what they call a contribution if you're using the public system up to a certain time. You're used to it being subsidized to some degree. However, if you're used to the private school setting, then you would have a certain budget that you would have been used to. So it really depends on your budget and your what you can afford. And I think once you plan very carefully in advance for the school year, I think that you will be able to find there are many resources, whether online or if there's something that you need to be made, you can learn to make charts, you can have them printed, you can ask a friend, people who have taught, maybe their child is going into grade one and they want to gift a kindergarten family, a family that has kindergarten students, they would gift the curriculum. I've had that happen to me too, when somebody is going off to public school again, they gift me their homeschool curriculum. And those things are treasures when you collaborate within the membership or within the homeschool family, or, just keep in touch with parents, network, and keep your ears to the ground for those deals. Just like you would when you go back to school shopping, we do the same thing. In fact, sometimes, like myself, who's a little bit of an addict when it comes to the stationery and those things, I go a bit gung ho, all right? But I tend to reel myself in when I have to, stay within the budget. But yeah, what depends on what you're used to spending on a regular for books and so
Terry,
on. But you definitely
Terry,
don't have this. Sorry?
Terry, what I was thinking about as part of the whole budget exercise is the business of transportation to and from school, uniforms, and of course lunch. How do
That's
those
what I was
three?
about to say.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead. I cut in too quickly. Go ahead.
Yes, that's okay. I was about to say we haven't even factored in the cost of the fee that you would pay the school to keep them, occupied for that time, and the other fees that you just mentioned, which can really rack up to a hefty bill. So, when it comes down to the nitty gritty and that, Trudy's background is in finances, so she can probably tell you better. Their family, they budget and they're very, very keen on how they spend and what they can find online and what they can make or what they can have a friend come in and do and teach. At one point you can hire a tutor if you can put that in the budget based on what you if you cannot reach. You're not an expert as some people like to say in that particular subject. Am I going to pay a tutor for this month or am I going to pay them for the term? What can we do 2 days for the week? Can we do the entire month? So you have to sit down now as a family and decide count the cost, and it definitely is not as expensive as sending them out. And the driver fee, and as I said, the snacks and the juice and the water and all these, you have those regular things at home. but it might not be so much. And we also do extracurricular, so we have to factor that in too. So they do integrate with other groups of people to have sports and music and other things like that.
But to add to that, Roland, if I may, the possibility as well, she mentioned collaboration, but that is so important, networking, and that is what the association facilitates, the networking possibilities within the organization allows for such a richness of the education experience at a fraction of the cost. So I can draw down on Terry's expertise. She can reach out to me for mine, and so we have a system of bartering of our services, of our expertise, in such a way that benefits all our children collectively. And that is another way that we're able to provide what you call it now, a Moet type or Mo type of education with a beer pocket, right? So we are able to provide
how I term that is a Burger King meal on a sardine budget.
There you go. Thank
Yes.
you. So that is it. We're able to use our time, to use our talents, both the children and the parents, to collaborate, to make the homeschooling experience even more rich and fulfilling for everybody. And that way the family is blessed. So it's not just about providing or teaching maths and English. The family becomes enriched because of it. And what we're able, I'm training my 9-year-old, my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old to be entrepreneurs. And that is that's not even me necessarily. It's just being in the homeschool space. It allows for that because they're exposed to so much more. They are able to learn from very early what their expertise are, and so they're doing so much on their own.
Thank you, Trudy. I want to get back to that when we come back from this break, but we have to take a break now, and we'll be right back.
Price sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
Great
selling.
sardines, follow the better flavor.
The time is
6:17 p.m.
Allergies, flu, sinus symptoms? Benjamin's has the relief for you. Runny nose, coughs, fever, pain. Get over your symptoms fast with Benjamin's Relief Cough and Cold, Relief Sinus, Relief Flu, and Relief Children's Fever and Pain. All you need is Benjamin's Relief. Benjamin's, the trusted name for over a century.
They say the word predestined has both a broad and narrow meaning. Why do we pray or plan or bother about anything if everything is predestined? What does the Bible have to say about this? Tuesday, November 14, on The Rock, join host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Pastor Christopher Kennedy and Errol Bean as they discuss the topic predestination. That's The Rock, Tuesday, November 14 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
Get ready for another inspiring show this Testimony Tuesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, November 14. Packed with inspirational stories and island-flavored music. 1:45, we bring you the brain testing Memphasize Listeners Big Edition. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside the evidence, we hear part 2 of the testimony of Reverend Adet Mitchell, who spent 5 weeks in hospital after she suffered a major heart attack. Then at 3 p.m., we go behind the pulpit for part 2 with the anointed pastor of the Conquering Lion of the Tribe of Judah Healing and Deliverance International Ministry, Pastor Rowan Sims. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. November 14 with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the family station, Love 101. Celebrating 30 years of music, family, and love.
Welcome back, and you are listening to Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries, FLM. Now, FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. So listen out for our numbers at the end of this program. Remember, we are on Facebook and YouTube Live. So tune into the program via Love 101 Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Our topic today is homeschooling, and we are talking with Trudy Lee Panton and Terry Chung, both leading members of Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers. And we have been having a very interesting conversation. We have said a lot of things. We have raised a lot of very, I'm going to say, critical points. And I just want to bring up something that Trudy Lee had mentioned, and it is about entrepreneurship. How does homeschooling help with entrepreneurship?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it is just so exciting to discover. So I spoke about my 11-year-old. Just being just growing up in the space, being in the home, learning how to manage the home. She learns realize that, for instance, that she was very skilled with her hands and she enjoys using her hands, and because she's in that safe space, and because she has the opportunity to explore from whatever perspective is there at home. There's a sewing machine, so she went on it, and she built her own business from just doing that, just practicing, and she set up her own website and so forth. So these are, and this is not unique to my family. I mean, there are homeschoolers less than 18 years of age, for example, who are performing in music. They're doing so many different things. Just discovering themselves, their talents, and it's because they have the freedom to explore more than just the four walls of the classroom. And so you find even that big question that hangs over the heads of the homeschooler, what about socialization? You find that the level of exposure that the homeschool child receives provides, oh, so sorry about that, Roland, provides the type of socialization experience that is much more vibrant, much more comprehensive than what you would experience just going to school.
I get that. I get that. And that is exciting to me. There is a kind of skill that I call a hard skill, which is what I would categorize a plumber as, someone with a hard skill. A plumber is somebody who, when you call him, going to fix it, and he's not going to dawdle and wander around. An electrician, a mechanic. How do we see that coming out in homeschooling versus the formal education system? Is there a difference there?
In very similar ways. I mean, the importantly, what is critical in the whole process, again, we're going back to that vision, is that the parent must be aware, must be alert to their children's potential, and must be very deliberate about taking them through the stages. And that is not difficult to do. It is not easy, but it is simple. And so you have the opportunity to expose the children to whatever it is that you see them expressing some interest in. You can take them to a mechanic and have them work as an apprentice, or sit as an apprentice, not necessarily work, but sit as an
Yeah.
apprentice, you
And
know,
give a few hours a day or something like that.
some hours a day, and it can be however often you can make time as a family. And so whatever, I mean, the sky is the limit for the homeschool child, simply because, as we said, our world is our school. So whatever is possible, whatever is out there to experience, we have the opportunity to give that to them.
That's awesome. We have a couple comments, and I want to read the first one from WhatsApp. It's anonymous, and it says, "I strongly believe in homeschooling, especially the way in how the Jamaican society is operating now. I was homeschooling my toddler, and he was learning 5 languages. Now he's in a school system and ahead of his class, but they don't allow advancement to the other grade for his age. I think the formal school system is not flexible enough with different learning patterns." Okay, so our question was, do you see a downside to homeschooling? And this person is saying, I see a downside to the formal system because the formal system is not allowing my child to advance at the rate at which my child can or should advance. Any word on that, Terry?
Absolutely. That is the truth of the matter is children do not learn at the same pace. They don't have the same learning styles and they are all unique. So they need a different strategy and approach towards their learning. So for us to expect all of the little 5-year-olds to eat at the same time, to, to do this and write at the same pace and finish,
To sit in
oh,
the
we have a
chair.
clock here, to sit on that hard chair with their little bottoms. I mean, like seriously, it is really hard for them to cope in that, especially when you have gifted children or children with any kind of special need that is not, heterogeneous or just regular school learning that you can, okay, they can follow instructions well, they can write, they can present their work, they can go off to lunch, that kind of just about business kind of. It is, yes, it is the general consensus, but it is not every child's way of doing things, and we have to honor that. We have to respect that, and the system is not equipped to facilitate every single learner. We have to accept that, even though we try, and they have really tried in writing and tweaking and revising the curriculum. We have to remember that the teachers may not always be trained in such, in figuring out how are we going to make every learner, be on par and understand every concept that is placed before the child. It is really a stretch. And don't let me go into how, the compensation
Okay, no, I
system
can't let you go into.
works.
No, I can't let you go into because we have another comment from Wayne Campbell, and he says, "To what extent is the Jamaica Association of Homeschoolers responsive to the needs of those parents and homeschoolers in rural areas regarding the various programs on offer?" And I want to ask you, please, to keep that response down to about 60 seconds. All right, keep it short.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right, I'll try. So, okay, a very good question. As a growing community, we are definitely seeing where the families in rural areas are coming out and wanting to be a part of the association. Unfortunately, because in the rural spaces, the families are scattered. It's very difficult sometimes to get families together, but we do encourage through the organization that families, we try to use the organization as a networking facility. So we try as much as possible to connect families, and what we always encourage is that homeschooling is the family's business, and so each family must take responsibility for their own children's learning experiences. And so a part of that is also making those connections, building those relationships. They have to take some responsibility, but we definitely facilitate the process.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I'm going to give each of you one last word, and I want you to give me the word that comes to mind, one word, when I say homeschooling.
Oh, my.
That's 2 words. Okay, your turn, Terry.
Collaboration.
Go again, Trudy Lee. I'll give you another chance.
Worldview.
Awesome. So when we talk about homeschooling, we're talking about collaborating and we're talking about having a wide world view. Thank you so much for being with us today, ladies. We have to run, the time is gone. And I want to thank all our listeners and our viewers for being with us as well. You can get more information on our services at Family Life Ministries, or you can get contact to our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island by contacting our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. All right. Remember that appointments can only be made by calling the offices. Otherwise, you can keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our different programs. Find us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA. Before we leave you, here is the evening's Bible verse. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." And that's Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. Join us again next week at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101 FM for Family Time.